All this week at Connors Comics, we're going to talk about 10 underloved and undervalued X-Men comics. So let's jump right into it. First off on the list is X-Men Annual number 10 from 2001, and its first appearance of Zorn, who is a mutant with a small star in his brain. He has some prior appearances, but kind of like Mystique, they're kind of sort of discounted considering it was actually Magneto who had not played him, but pretended to be Zorn, disguised himself as Zorn. So this is the first true appearance of Zorn in the comics. Arguably, he's an Omega level mutant, but I don't think he's ever been listed as one. And it's also another first appearance. First appearance of John Sublime. And again, arguably, this is the oldest mutant, I believe would be older than Apocalypse, if he's even considered a mutant. He's really more like a parasite that's like a villain to the mutants. But his whole powers is that he's the sentient parasite that goes from host to host to host, which allows him to live for generations, which would why he would be the oldest of all the X-Men here. Also in this issue, we rearranged Weapon X program, and we also get a first appearance of a team, First X Corporation in Hong Kong. It's sort of a team, sort of an X team. It's more of an X duo of Domino and Risque, and I mean nothing really comes of this team too notably, but it's something to talk about. And it's also the first time Marvel uses this widescreen format, sort of like almost like a newspaper where it opens up and folds out. I'm not a big fan of it. No wonder why they never do it. And one of my copies, at least the one that I pulled out for this video, is a double cover. And I wonder if this is a book that you can find more double covers often than other books, considering it is that weird widescreen format. Moving on though to X-Men number 133, this first appearance of Dust. This is the first X-Men who was a Muslim, which is kind of interesting. The X-Men ended up going to Afghanistan, and I believe it's like Phantom X that saves her. And her body, she kind of like turned herself into malleable dust. She's sort of like a Sandman type character. But she could definitely be in a Disney Plus series going in the future, or in an X-Men lineup, or on an X team, or maybe even as an X student, as we see Disney Plus lay out different characters in the future. And talking about X students, this X-Men number 134 is first appearance of Kid Omega Quentin Quire, who plays arguably a pretty large role in the last couple years in modern X-Men comics. He's a Grant Morrison addition to the X-Men roster, and he's an Omega level telepath. He's an official Omega level telepath. But he's this basic teenager in the institution, his best friend Glob Herman, and he has this crush on this Stepford Cuckoos. So it kind of really ties him into a bunch of other characters we could see get laid out in the future. And the Stepford Cuckoos first appear in New X-Men number 118, or X-Men number 118, whatever you'd like to call it. It soon becomes a trio of clones of Emma Frost. Although I believe there's a point in time where there's 5 of them. I believe it's 5. And they're definitely characters we could see pop up in the future. It's also first appearance of Tempest, who we've seen in the movies in the past. Tempest, or Angel, whatever you want to call her. I believe she's originally Angel, and she ends up getting a name Tempest in the later issues. She has a long history in the comics, from losing her powers and teaming up with the New Warriors, which I believe is where she gets the Tempest name from. A future version of herself was in the heroic Age of X-Men, and she even becomes Vengeance. There's a lot of concepts that could roll her into future projects, and plus, again, it's first appearance Stepford Cuckoos. And I think my copy's signed. It's got this weird remark thing on it. It's cool, I guess. Moving on right away to Kitty Pryde and Wolverine number 1. This is a great 6-issue mini. I always pick up when I can. I still find them in dollar bins, and I always just pick them up. And this is technically first appearance of Ogun, although in this issue he's Sensei, who is a telepath who mentored Wolverine. Ogen himself is a telepathic Japanese warrior who once mentored Wolverine, as I said, and then he ends up becoming the foe when Wolverine returns to Japan. He's an enforcer of the Yakuza, and it's a possibility Ogen could face off with Wolverine and return to, well, not return, but appear on the big screen, possibly in Madripoor. Maybe fight Wolverine, maybe fight Elektra, maybe fight Daredevil. Who knows? But Ogen is a fun little villain to keep an eye out for. And this series, I recommend even just to read. And although we've already seen Madripoor first appears in New Mutants 32, and I don't think we're done with Madripoor. I don't think we're even close to done. We set it up in Falcon Winter Soldier, and the MCU definitely has plans in the future for this, laying out whether it's the new Captain America movie or, wild cards. Maybe we'll see it in Secret Invasion. Maybe Blade will go to Madripoor, or, of course, we're going to get X-Men projects going forward, talking Phase 6, Phase 7, and further. Who knows? Madripoor could play a big role in a lot of stories, and this is a book that I see all the time in dollar bins. I always pick it up when I can. And my big thing is, if you want to reinvent Wolverine and want to do something new after the Hugh Jackman return in Deadpool 3, I sort of wonder if, he'll return, then he'll be in the Avengers movies, and you'll kind of get a send-off to his character. And we might, if we get another Wolverine, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a great way to segue into it. And if you want to do something new and different Wolverine, you can always do Patch. This Wolverine #1 is a great book. It's not his first solo, but it is his first ongoing series. And, of course, it's when he dons the moniker of Patch. He puts on the eye patch, and he gets, a new suit. And again, we can kind of see Wolverine take on a Ronin-type role, run through Madripoor. There's just a lot of story we could tell here. And closely connected with the MCU, Uncanny X-Men number 269 is a great Rogue Miss Marvel cover. And I think I'm not so convinced Rogue is going to be in Marvels anymore, since we've had a lot of script changes and behind the scenes stuff gets moved around a lot. But there was a point in time where Rogue was in competition for the film. But still, the two characters have a huge history, being Rogue and Carol Danvers. And this is a great cover and a great issue that kind of ties their history really together. And again, there's another one I pick up in the dollar bins all the time, or sometimes even less than $1. Guys just kind of throw this one out here as a X-Men run filler, and I think it's kind of a micro key to keep an eye out for. I think it's a perfect way to see Carol Danvers take a backseat in the future of the MCU, so characters like Monica Rambeau or Kamala Khan can get the spotlight for a little while. I've never been a huge Carol Danvers fan, and this is also a great Claremont issue. And I'm just kind of saying, I'm not a big Carol Danvers fan. I know a lot of people aren't, to each their own. But I think it would be a great way to kind of make her take more of a back seat. And who knows? Who knows what they'll do? X-Men Red #1 is first Trinary, which is yet another Omega level telepathic. Although I don't know if she's actually Omega level. I know she's another telepathic mutant. I believe the first or one of the very few Indian mutants. Which is very interesting. And this is a book, again, I always pick it up when I see it. It's a great lineup. This was a fun read, especially, when we really get into the Nightcrawler stuff and the Gentle stuff in this run. It's a really fun read, and Jean Grey heading her own X team, how can you go wrong? So at the least, it's a first appearance of a new lineup. At the most, or the least, however you look at it, first appearance of a new character we could see used in the future. And again, she's a younger character. Maybe she'll be used sort of like a Steph Cocoons or Quentin Quire as members of the institution and students instead of a lead role in X Team, which I could definitely see them doing an X Academy type of show or movie series going forward in the Disney Plus future of the MCU. And let's talk, we haven't talked about a villain yet. At least I don't believe so. Oh, no, we have Ogun. But still, throw a villain out there. X-Men Legacy number 214 or X-Men number 214, at whichever number you look at. This first appearance of Mrs. Sinister. Now, there's a lot of people out here talking about Mr. Sinister, and I think that's a great book to buy if you can get it for cheap. But Mrs. Sinister is just a fun book to keep an eye out for. Again, in the dollar bins, one on the cheaper side. Because, Miss Sinister is a character kind of used by Sinister. It's a clone of himself. And it kind of just like plops her here, there, and everywhere. This is more of a cameo than a first full appearance, but I believe 216 is actually her first full. I don't think she's in 15. If I correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is still a fun book to grab when you see it, and it's a character. Maybe if we see Mr. Sinister, maybe we'll see a gender swap of the character, or maybe Miss Sinister could play a role in addition to Mr. Sinister in the future. And to round it out with a classic issue. And this is one, again, I see the diamonds all the time. Although the newsstand for this one is super, super tough to get a high grade, believe it or not. But X-Men 2099, number 1, is honestly, I think it's a great book. And there's nothing but time travel going on in the X-Men. We love time travel, so I would not be surprised we go, to the 2099 timeline, or, the Bishop timeline, or we go Cable or Forge or Trevor Fitzroy, whoever we want to do. I don't think 2099 is completely out of the picture, or some of these characters could be re-envisioned into those timelines. Hell, maybe there'll be a multiverse, where it's the 2099 multiverse, kind of how it is in the comics. Yes and no. But we could do that in the movies as well. But it's a bunch of first appearance. Cerebra, Desert Ghost, Mean Streak, Sabatina, Krista. There's plenty of characters. Fitzgerald, Metalhead. I mean, the whole team. They kind of get rounded out here as a pretty decent roster to get all new characters. Just a lot of decent X-Men, made sort of infamous for that Toy Biz era. And again, we can always see these in the dollar bins. This is a book that, and again, or less, because it's everywhere. And I don't know, we've seen books that we've found everywhere kind of spike in the past. So, and honestly, always keep an eye out for the ash cans of this book. There's the blue foil and the gold foil. I believe I have the gold foil. Then there's another X-Men ash can that's like sort of connected, sort of not. And the newsstand cover for this book is super tough. I only have one copy of the newsstand just because I never find it. And if I do find it, usually it's pretty beat up. But that'll round out my 10 books for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of Spec Talk. If you're not already, follow me here on Facebook and Instagram for more daily content. And join the Facebook group Fandoms Unleashed for even more daily content, great conversation, and an inside look at Connor's comics. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.